So the first thing I'm going to do, which is what I often do, first thing I'm going to do is unwind the adrenal glands. You can do the adrenals from the front side, or you can do from the back side. I'm going to do from the back. Believe it or not, I haven't done this for, I guess, since yesterday. Seems like a while. And I'm going to start simple. I'm just going to start right on unwind. And what I want you to do here, the key to this process is not the protocol that we're going to do. The key to this process, I want you to tune into your quantum field. And I want you, from your quantum field, I want you to very quickly assess what's happening. Everyone try this. Go to your quantum field with unwind on. Like I'm on unwind, and unwind feels pretty good, but it's not totally unwinding my field. I want you to very quickly assess. The field will either go contract, it'll stay the same, or it'll open up more. I want you to assess which one of those is happening. And I'm going to switch, for me, I'm going to switch to quantum. And as soon as I switch to quantum, for me, it kind of goes, it just opens. And folks, notice that a little bit? Isn't that nice? That's the key right there. I mean, this right here is the protocol. I'm on quantum, I'm dissolving. For new folks, we're doing the adrenals first. We have easy protocol. Start with the adrenal glands. Every so often, check in. What's happening? Is your field contracting? Is it neutral? Or is it unwinding? For me, it's still unwinding, so I keep going. When I find point that keeps unwinding, if you didn't find it, go to pick another program. When I find a point that I keep unwinding, I tell you, I can't say this enough. When I find an area that's unwinding, I just go with it. I might find one point in a session that's unwinding. I just let it keep going. All unwinding for me tells me is that there's something that's dissolving. And dissolving really means it's bringing neutrality in. So when I find an area that unwinds, it's like, that thing, there's something and you put a hole in it and suddenly everything kind of comes out of it. It's kind of like the energy of the body is contained here. So when I find an area that unwinds, for me, it's the energy of the body is now filling up the field. Does that make sense? It's like suddenly that energy that's contained here is now rarefying, settling, that's good, settling out to the body. The next thing I'm going to go to is the sacrum. The tailbone. And I'm staying on quantum. My body still seems to be kind of going like this. soon as I put it on the sacrum. When I go, again, from a transition, that's sort of a key moment when I go from one point to another point. If I'm on a point and I'm still unwinding, and yet I'm ready to move to somewhere else, but my body's still kind of going, I stay on that program and I go to the next point. And I put it on, and usually at that, it just kind of keeps going. If my body's kind of dropped into neutrality and I go to the next point, well, at that point I might pick a different one. Does that make sense? So when I'm still in an unwind and I'm going, again, all I'm doing here is taking the energy at the sacrum. Let's open up, unwind. Sacrum's a really good area to work on. Most people unwind it a little bit. You really want to activate energy along the spine. Spend more focus on the sacrum. Do it with cohere. Do it with activate. There's some great, we touched on, I don't usually get on this, but we touched on some alchemy. Unity, activate, cohere, wave. Those are really good programs to work on areas that you want to activate the energy. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do a moment over pubic bone here. I went to activate. I changed and put it on activate. Activate's a nice. You recall earlier today we did those plexal areas. Sorry, I'm not communicating very well. Those bonds, those locks, those plexal areas. They're a little different than the chakra plexus. It's more the nerve. Activate's a great program on those. It's a great protocol in and of it on its own. Activate works really nice. It kind of gets the nerves to kind of come together and then to kind of open. The more neutrality flows through the body, as neutrality flows through the body, this is why yogis often go and they do practice every day. They have a discipline. They have a practice. They're opening up to that energy. Well, the more energy, and from my perspective, quantum field is kind of, it's not an outer discipline. It's an inner discipline. It's very disciplined to be cultivating your quantum field constantly. So the more this energy flows along the spine, I started off by unwound the adrenals first. Now I'm going to go through, and I was kind of considering, I was going to do one protocol, and really what I felt like doing, and I do this a lot, where I'll start off going to do one thing, and then suddenly it gets clear what I'm really doing. I was going to unwind the front for the sacrum, and as I did it, suddenly, like, well, what's more appropriate today? What's appropriate today isn't to unwind. What's appropriate today is to get these different bonds starting to open. Because as energy flows through you, they start to move these areas. And as these areas move, they're going to start to open up what yogis call seed karmas. I call them polarities. Maybe it's some emotional thing. Maybe it's some pattern or some situation. And if these things start moving, energy is moving, those things are going to start going like that. They're going to not hold here. They're going to pop more easily. So I'm doing the sacrum right now, unactivate, that same kind of base area we did, to work with them. And we're going to do a longer seminar coming up as we head into the new entry into the new season. It's going to be a little bit longer where we get in a little bit more to some of this feels good. You can also do this from the back, yet for me this feels really good right now, so I'm just going to keep going with it. This is a big area, so move it around a little bit. The whole diaphragm takes its lead from this plexus. Each plexus is like it's like the neural control, it's like it energizes and coordinates, and even the chakra it coordinates. All right, next one, I'm coming up to the heart. In this alchemy work, this is where these other programs really come in nice. So I tell you, I use a lot of these too on people who have injuries and things. I'll often someone might be struggling on something, I put Cohere on and they just completely shift. Up to the heart area now. Right in the central area right here is where this plexal area is. And again, each of these areas, it's so easy. You can do this without the laser, where you kind of get the flexion, extension, and then drop it right in the middle. When I do this, what I'm doing right now is I'm holding the laser over the area. And as I hold it over this area, I'm kind of, I'm feeling that kind of flexion, and then like this. And then like this. I'm kind of doing it until I feel it drop. And then I move on to the next one. I pop down. I'm on Cohere right now. For whatever reason, I felt like coming back down here to this one for a moment. Now I'm going to come up to the heart. What a pretty sight that is. All these violet. Barely seeing out, but I see violet everywhere. It's beautiful. Opening up this area, opening, I feel it going like this. Same thing, all this is a tool, it does the same thing our perception does. Now I'm going to go up to the next one. Throat. Nourish this area. This is a really big one for a lot of people. You can do it with activate. Check in. Everyone check into their field. See how is the field? Is the field contracting? Is it neutral? Or is it open? If it's not opening, you might try a different program. Next one up here. No different. You work on an injury or an organ. If you get this simple principle of inviting something, that range, dissolve, anything that comes in front of you, you can work on. And this opens, the frontal lobe opens, nice. Make sure the whole sphenoid's nice and up to the top. I'm actually going to do a moment right in the back of the occipital ridge with this. I change to wave. Again, I feel very slight in. Out. Feel. Tip of the nose. This to me is like a little neutral chakra. You open up the nose and it, to me, if you open this nose, the whole field opens. That powerful of a point. This is one of the most powerful points. When it opens, the field opens. I kind of liken it. I feel good for anybody? That feel good? Activates the blood, activates the lymph. Good. Everyone go ahead, put laser down. I want to go right into the field, go right. I want to show you something that's really easy that I do occasionally. I don't get into it that often unless we're at longer seminars. It's not a breathing exercise. A lot of yogis, alchemists say that there are subtle receptors in the nose. And those receptors pull out of oxygen high-spinning ether. So when yogis do pranayama, if you see certain pranayama, it's not about bringing oxygen in. It's about pulling ether out of the air. So I want to show you this really easy thing. Often after I'll do quanticize, I'll sit down for a moment and I'll kind of just activate this. The key to this process is doing it very slow. To be in the field, to me this is like the pulls in ether. Really what I'm doing is I'm just pulling air up and down, up and down. I'm not even bringing it in. I'm just pulling it up and down. Do it very slow. It's a very simple, subtle reflex. You don't even have to do it noticeable. I often do it like this. And I'm not breathing. Hey, Kevin, check in what's going on over there with those. Yeah. So when I do it, I'm in still point. So I'm not even doing it for my lungs. It's really not breathing. All I'm doing, I'm just pulling the air in and so that I can pull ether from the air. Monoatomics, ormus, high spin elements. I almost do it very subtle. So I just want to almost feel the air up on the back of the inside the nostrils, kind of. So it almost feels like it tickles. It feels real. Now this what we're doing is we're pulling in this ether to supercharge up this area where the glands are that activate the saliva. Everyone stop in neutrality. And then from there, do it. Not exercise. You don't want to activate your adrenals. Do it slow at first. I do it until I feel this kind of opens, and at a certain point I just kind of rest. And then after that, I often do it, and as I do it, now you can direct this ether. So we're pulling in ether, and then with your perception, you can direct it anywhere. So first place I usually do after I bring it in is I bring it down to the sacrum. So just keep bringing it here, but as you do, kind of tune in to the sacrum. And then when I do this, it's kind of like a straw, like I'm kind of building up. Can you all feel that a little bit? Kind of like building, pulling that ether, we're bringing it in, we're pulling it up the spine. Feel some nice saliva opening up. A lot of the Taoists and yogis say that when the saliva builds up, it's supercharged, and then it kind of kicks into this nice. So I feel it kind of go all the way up, right up to the cranium, right up to. Now try, and then rest for a moment. Just kind of let that permeate, let that ether. Just pulling in high spinning energy. This is, you ever feel like you're coming down with a cold or you've been really stressed? If I don't have the laser, I sit down and I activate. I bring in some energy. We have to use the resources we have, whether it's a laser, if we don't have the laser with us, quantize, if we want to do, this is just one more in our repertoire, unwind, still point, quantum field, activate, flowering. This one's like vital. This one's just like vital or ozone. Now try, as we do this, and every so often I just cultivate. I let it infuse. Isn't that nice? Now try it again. Only this go around, bring it, direct it somewhere. Pick an organ. Maybe you want to work on your lungs, maybe your liver. Try the liver. The liver's a good one. Often you can put your hands right over the area. Use your perception. You don't have to do your hands. This isn't about sending energy with the hands. Direct that ether. Ether can move. At a certain point, like right there, it shifted, and I can feel like the liver kind of breathing it in now. Anybody feel that? Subtle, very subtle. This is not about breath, this is about ether. I don't do this nuts. This isn't some big exercise. I'm not looking to, right there. It shifted, it's open, I'm good. I just rest here now. Maybe there's another area, maybe the spleen. Often after you do that, you can feel a little, it's just like we're just kind of filling it up, and then it kind of unwinds a little bit, pops right into still. Go through and do all the organs like this. Lungs, kidneys, liver, spleen, heart. You can do it over an injury or a health challenge. Area of your brain. And focus in on stem cells, telomeres, DNA. Whatever you can pull up here, activate it with ether. My favorite is just bringing it up the spine and activating this nectar zone, nectar area. And up the crown. At a certain point, once you've brought it in and it's here, it kind of now, it's kind of like that thing where, you go into a tank and you get it going, and then the water flows on its own. It's kind of like that. You just get it till it starts flowing, and then the ether just flows. You just direct it with your perception. This is what yogis do when they do pranayama, and then the ether starts filling them up, and then their bodies move, and it goes around it. The ether understands what it does. It goes and it opens. All right, that's. I zipped that in. I hadn't planned on bringing that in yet. That started happening when I was working on the notes, so I figured we'd do it. How was that? Did that make sense? Isn't that good? That is I can't say that is such a powerful tool. Anybody want to share? Anybody want to share?
That was incredible.
Yeah.
So this time, instead of it all opening up here, I felt that ether, just like you said, come straight up, and it was almost like my head felt like it was blowing, expanding, huge. And at one point, it was like the inside of my head was the universe.
Start bringing it in, and see. Let the ether kind of go where it wants to go. When I do a session like this, I bring it in and I let it kind of go around, and then eventually I just bathe. I let the whole field. So it doesn't matter. Pick one place, let it start coming. Eventually, it's all going to fill in and saturate. We talk about activating high-spin things in the body. Well, let's conduit the ether in. Let's get the ether in there to get the lymph, the blood, all these things.
Hi, Paul.
Yes.
I have 4 major losses in my life, and I thought I unwound everything until I had an experience with that. Now I feel so light in my center, whereas before it was in the knots, and I thought I undid those knots in unwinding endless times, but this time I feel so amazingly light and so blissful. You can't explain it. It's just wonderful.
Good.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. This is a process. Planet Earth's been rough. It's been a rough place. People have been kicked and knocked around. Don't expect, hey, one process gone. It's a process. And it's always growing. Just keep defaulting to neutrality. This is not something that says, oh, we're not going to suffer. We're not going to have some challenges. We had some big challenges this year, and we kept turning it to neutrality. It doesn't mean we don't cry, we don't have that pain, we don't hurt, yet we dissolve it. We dissolve it, and we let that neutrality come in and bring solutions and help us grow. Thank you. Good. Good. All right. Good work, everyone. I tell everyone to go to the quantum field, but please, we are here.